This is a test of the Boundary Park alert system.
It's got one job. Make sure I've got.
Good evening, guys.
Make sure I've got a brew on here, and I haven't got a brew. Hello, welcome to Latics Football Phone In. I'm Matt Dean.
And I'm Sexy Dave.
Who got one job, two jobs.
Well,
being sexy.
I do. Well,
being a sexy sidekick.
I'm not a sidekick.
You are a sidekick.
I'm not. I'm a co-director.
Co-director. You're not director, cat.
I'm a co-founder of the Phone In.
If you say so. How are you anyway?
Yeah, not bad. Good result weekend.
Yeah, I said. Listen, everyone was laughing. Said Latics can get into Wembley, get into Europe by winning the FA Cup this year. It's going to take the club forward hugely.
Good evening, James Norwood, if you're watching. Hope you listen to the podcast.
Yeah, Dave, you gave him a bit of stick, didn't you?
No, I say what you see.
You gave him a bit of stick.
Oh well,
but you know, I'm sure
it's just opinions, guys, and mine's right and yours.
And you know what? I'm sure he's not remotely asked what you think. That's the other thing. I mean, Dave, you've got a track record of being wrong about stuff.
Yeah, like, you know.
Hey,
Mickey, Tranmere away next round. I think I foresaw that. Psychic, sexy Dave. Eh?
Yeah. Anyway, Tranmere. I think that's just amazing.
What did you think of the draw when it came out? Where were you?
I wasn't watching the draw because I was busy. I was working.
What were
you doing? Buzzing. I did say, like, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, like, the importance of being in the draw is that we might get Tranmere away, Stockport away, something like that. And
I was coaching the under-8s, and I had to stop training while I watched the draw. So I just made them, like, dribble around until I knew what the...
Did you cheer, or what was your response?
I was like, yes! And we were in a sports hall, so it was, like, dead loud, like, proper echoed.
Yeah.
Echoed.
But just because it were you knowing battered an eyelid, it's just Dave being weird.
No, they were like, what's up with you? I was like, I've got Tranmere away. Good, that.
And everyone was like, so
I hope it gets changed to the Sunday, because I'm not available on the Saturday, which I'm devastated about, but here's hope. You're
going away again tomorrow, aren't you?
Yes.
You're always bloody jetting off. You're Western Halliwell.
Sorry, well,
living the bloody dream. Anyway, we've got a special show tonight, so we've got a special guest, haven't we?
Very special guest.
You're doing your. I mean, I give you a stick and say you've only got one job, but you do get the guests on, don't you?
I do get the guests, but to be fair, as Gunnar Haller was, our guest tonight was very responsive straight away, and it was secured within about 10 minutes. And actually, the week I booked him, the gentleman said, I'll come on next week, but we had Gunnar Haller on, so we couldn't. So, yeah, really.
I'm glad it wasn't last week, because we had to cancel last week because I just didn't have my mojo.
Well, what did the STD clinic say?
Good, fine, yeah.
Good.
But they said that I need to warn you about it.
Oh, God. Are you telling me live?
Anyway. Right. Bob told me not to forget to plug don't forget to plug the Quizmas party. Don't worry, we're plugging that later.
Yeah, and we've got a very special announcement about that as well.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to do that too early. I don't want to put Andy Liddle off.
If
we play,
you've just announced the game.
You've already said.
Yes.
Anyway, should we bring you on?
Yeah, let's bring in the...
Do you want to give him a big build-up, Dave?
This player,
you reading
Andy,
it off Google?
This player,
he's reading your Wikipedia page.
Andy signed from Wigan Athletic under Ronnie Moore. Mm-hmm. He made a number of appearances for Oldham Athletic. Scored every penalty.
Yes,
and he scored one of my favourite goals for Latics. Although we did get beat that game, he scored straight from a corner against Stockport County, and he was robbed of a goal against Blackpool in that playoff semi-final at Bloomfield Road, which. I was a bit gutted about, but let's bring him in. I'm
sure
anyway.
He remembers that one. We can ask him all about it.
We can.
Andy Liddle, ladies and gentlemen. Hello.
Guys, how you doing? All right?
Yeah, great, mate.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not far from you in the world now. I'm back in the UK. I've been living in Portugal for 6 years and find myself back in the cold northwest, so not too far away from you guys.
There must be a good reason for that, Andy. What's brought you back?
Well, being not too far away from you guys, or being back in the northwest, guys. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, why
I've been out there
what
for
have you
6
left on
years.
Sunday? Yeah, go on. What's the story
It's
behind that?
a few things really. Brilliant, had a brilliant time out there. It's great. I'd recommend it to anybody that's thinking about doing it. We've got I had my lad over. My lad was 5 or 6, just about 5 or 6 when we went over there, and it took about 8 months, and he was fluent in the language, and it's amazing to see something like that. And it was a great lifestyle. But my eldest, Katie, she's 14 now, and she's disabled. She's special needs. She's an official condition is severely autistic with complex needs, and out there it was just getting a little bit more difficult. National Health Service wise, it's okay out there. You've got to obviously better if you know the language, and I know enough of it to get by, but we just need more support with it. It's getting quite challenging, and my wife and I made the decision when I took a job with Rapid Bucharest, which is another story. And then that ended quickly, but we just decided to relocate back here because as much as everybody denigrates the NHS, let me tell you, until you've been in a few other countries, you don't know how good it is because it's very good. And we just need that extra support with the family over here now. And it was just time to come back, Matt. It was just time to come back. You know, when you're over there, it's a lovely place to live. It's a great lifestyle, but with no family there. And it was just getting a little bit more not difficult, it's not the word, but it's just better back here for everybody all concerned because Katie just needs support from the NHS, both physically, financially as well, and just the support network was better really. But it's I tell you what, I don't like to think of myself as soft. I lived in Leeds in the north of England for 40 odd years. My God, it is freezing back here. Absolutely freezing. I can't believe how cold I am every time I go out the house. So
you've just gotten out of the routine. Your body's out of the routine. It's a shock to the system.
Yeah.
You'll get used to it again. Don't worry. So
yeah, well,
welcome back. Welcome. Sorry, it's a bit of a delay, I think.
It is. It's not cold. It's just what is it? A challenge of layering. Got to make sure you got enough clothes on. I'm going out the house like a flipping Eskimo. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Speaking of cold, when was the last time you were at Boundary Park?
Oh, that's a good question. My God, that is a good question. I went off to work, Ipswich Town and Oldham weren't probably the. Do you know what? I bet it was probably the last time I played there, and I can't remember that either. It will have been with Shez because I didn't play with Joe because Joe came in and he had to play the younger players. I don't know, man. Whatever the last game was that I played there, that's the last time I was there.
Yeah, well, so
2009 then, flipping heck, that's some time.
Yeah. Well,
to be perfectly honest, Andy, you've not missed out, mate. Since 2009 till now, you've not missed out good anyway. Apart from beating Liverpool in the FA Cup, that's it really. It's not been great since that time.
That's pretty good. Beating Liverpool in the FA Cup's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad, but once it's few and far between anyway.
So you signed under Rodney Moore, didn't you? Back in 2005, and you were at Sheffield United prior to that. Was that under Neil Warnock? That
yeah, it was. Yeah, that was interesting.
And prior to that, you were with the plastic Latics that are known as Wigan Athletic. I'm only kidding, but and then prior to that, you were at Barnsley. So you played over 200, just short of 200 games for Barnsley, over 200 games for Wigan. How did the move come about from Sheffield United? Because you in effect, Sheffield United were they getting promoted to the Premiership at the time, and then you were dropping down. In effect, you were dropping 2 leagues, weren't you? Really, from the Premier, like they'd just been promoted, and you were coming down. Just could you tell us about how Ronnie got you to the club, and was there anyone else knocking around at the time trying to sign you?
Yeah, no problem. It was actually I signed for Sheffield United on a 3-year contract. I agreed a 3-year contract with Neil. I left Wigan. I was out of contract at Wigan, and I left. And I had a choice between Sheffield United and Stoke, and I signed for Sheffield United for 3 years. After the first year, it just one of them at a great club, a massive club to play for, and I really enjoyed playing for them. But it just wasn't clicking me and Neil. Neil had his ways. Looking back, I probably said a couple of things to him, to his face, not behind his back, to his face, that I probably shouldn't have. And after my time again, I'd say it in a little bit more polite manner, but I didn't do it in front of anybody else. And then we had a partner of the ways, and it was just I had 2 years left on my contract, and obviously we had to come to an agreement on that because he said that the club were looking to move me on. They were going to sign someone. I said that's absolutely fine. Then Stoke came back on for me, but then I got a call from Oldham, from Ronnie, and he said, "Would you be interested in coming to sign for Oldham?" And one of the big things at that time, just in that season, we had a massive Leeds fan. I was a Leeds fan as a kid, lived in Leeds all my life, all my teenage years spent going. And that season, we actually had Leeds in the League Cup. I don't know if you remember it. They beat us, but it was a big thing for me. Like playing at Ellen Road was going to be a massive thing for me as well. And it was a 3-year contract. I could travel. I was living in Leeds. I could travel to Oldham. I liked what the club said. I got a good feel for Ronnie and Breck when we went. And I just thought, right, okay, just go for it. And they said, we'll be up and around the playoffs. We hope to be up and around the playoffs. We're not going to, the budget's not huge. It's not top 2. We don't, but we're signing X, Y, and Z. And it was that really. It was just as simple as that. They called me, and it was a choice between there and Stoke. It was, like I said, 3-year deal. I got to stay at home, and I knew a couple of lads that had signed for him, and I just thought, and a big thing as well, Shez was there, John Sheridan was there coaching, and people my age, round about my age, late 40s, early 50s, Shez was like, same as he is for Oldham people, but for Leeds he was like a god. He was one of the best players I've ever seen play for that team, and I was like, oh my god, Shez. He wasn't manager. Obviously that came after. I didn't have a clue that was going to happen. But it was just there. It was, yeah, and it was it was a pull. I used to stand and watch him, like to see he'd be bumping into him every day. Well, oh my God, John Sheridan. Because even when professional footballers still, we've all been boys, we've all been playing in the streets, and the kids pretending to be this and be that, and then all of a sudden he's right there. You're like, oh my God. So it was that really, and no, I just got a good feeling for it, and that's how it came about really.
So with that, in that first season, you had the likes of Luke Beckett up front, and I think the season started very well for you because you scored 2 goals against Swindon in your second game, and then you scored another 4 in your next 2 games. So, and Luke Beckett was pretty much on the end of pretty much every cross that you were getting there because he was top scorer of 18 that season, and you were playing with the likes of Richie Wellens, Richard Butcher, God rest him. And there was some really experienced players like Guy Branston as well, wasn't there, in the team? And Chris Porter, I think, had just joined, and he was quite relatively new to the team. But Rob Scott, who was ex-Rotherham, Chris Swales, and that season under Ronnie, we started off so well, but then we just started drawing quite a few games. How was your first season with Oldham? You come from the likes of Wigan, Sheffield United, and Barnsley, and I'd say that Wigan and Barnsley are very much like Oldham style teams, like towns with a good following, similar sort of grounds. Obviously, the JJB is a lot more modernised, but Barnsley, Oakwell was very similar to like Latics. I feel, in my opinion, how did it feel like playing in front of the crowd at Latics? Did you find any similarities, or was there anything different? I appreciate we're from Lancashire, we're a bit more intelligent and a bit nicer than Yorkshire people, but I'm only kidding.
You're not doing a great job of painting that impression.
No, but how did you find it in your first season?
Well, first of all, I'd probably say it's probably best not to drink neat vodka and gin before you do this, because it's obviously making you come out with some ridiculous statements there.
And make him do it. Talking to him sober is even worse.
I think you're getting your lines mixed up there with Lancashire and Yorkshire, but we'll gloss over that one. No, it was. I loved playing at Boundary Park. I tell you now, I love my time at the club. I enjoyed it with Ronnie. I enjoyed it with Shez. But I love playing for the club, and it was very similar to. At Barnsley we performed miracles getting to the Premier League because we should have been nowhere near it with the budget that team had, and the size of the crowd and the size of the club. It wasn't a Premier League club, but the players and the coaches made it into a Premier League club. It was amazing what everybody did at that, and I actually signed for Wigan when they were in Springfield, so I didn't go straight into the JJB, and that was proper football and all. That place was not glamorous. So Boundary Park on a Tuesday night in the freezing cold and chucking down rain, we'd play some of the teams from down south. You beat them in the tunnel. you'd see them all there shivering in there with the gloves on, and you think, this lot have got no chance here, and you'd end up belting them. But it was I loved it. I really enjoyed playing for it, and we had some good players. We had actually had quite a few players in that team that were Championship players. Richie Wellens is by no means a League One player. He was a Championship player playing in League One. And there was a couple of us that had played quite a few games in the Championship. That's why we had a good team. But from what I remember, towards the end of that season, it was kind of after Christmas-ish. We were getting a few injuries. I did my Achilles, and it was a nasty injury. I remember it was really sore, and I was playing with it, not training. It was Achilles tendonitis, and it was sore. And I wasn't getting around the pitch like I should have been, and eventually I needed an operation. And we just had a few injuries, and we just seemed to fade away a bit. And it was a shame because we did have some good players like you mentioned there, like Luke, and who was a fantastic goal scorer at that level. And we had other good players, like you say, Richie Wellens, who was way too good for that league. And we had some real prospect. You could see it was coming together, but it just didn't happen that year. And obviously, the club made a change, and Ronnie left. And then when Shez came in, just a couple of young lads as well that just needed a bit of time. Ports needed time just to get his bearings. And then when Shez came, he took off. He couldn't stop scoring. And that next season was really good. But now playing there was a lot of similarities. You're right. It was a tight ground, and the fans could get on top of the opposition, and you were really close, and it was brilliant. But I loved it. It was a great club to play for. The people behind the scenes, the staff. Even when Ronnie left, you got Sheds, you got Tommy Wright, another ex-Leeds player, was brilliant. Ducks, Norby the physio, Lee Nobes, who's now at Liverpool, Man City physio. Real good guys, and it made for a really good atmosphere. And I really enjoyed playing. And we moved on and got some decent players as well. Griggs came, Sean Grigg came. He was, I don't think people realise how good a player he was. He was a fantastic player. He could come across a little bit to people like, aggressive and hard man sort of thing, going through people. But he was a really good player. His touch and everything, his passing, his vision was very, very good. And he made a difference when he came. And like I said, that year we got in the playoffs, it was, we had a really good season there. We had a really good season. It was just a shame we couldn't take it all the way to the final, really.
Yeah. Well, Gregan he played in midfield, didn't he? And then he converted to a centre-back, in his later career. And you could just tell how great, I think it was Leeds away when we won 2-0. Chris Taylor scored 2, and he had Jermaine Beckford in his pocket, and he must have been like 15 years older than him.
He was... There's a funny story with that one, Dave, because Griggs left Leeds in a bitter way. They did not treat him well at that time. Dennis Wise was in charge, and there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There was a lot of naughty stuff going on, banishing players from training and not paying them on time and all this sort of stuff that they were trying to do to get players out, which goes on, but it shouldn't happen. It's nonsense. And he was, let's say, was a bit extra motivated for that game, and he was giving Beckford some awful verbal abuse in that game, telling him how crap he was, telling him he was this and that and what he was going to do to him. And poor lad, he just shriveled. Beckford just shriveled because Sean was like, we had a few like that as well. We weren't shrinking violets, to be honest. Richie could verbalise with the best of them, and I was no shrinking violet myself. And when you were getting after teams and they'd be going it with the verbals, it was we'll give as good as we got. If there was a fight, I'd run the other way. Don't worry about that. But if it was verbal, I had no problem.
Well, I think just going up when Ronnie left, obviously Ronnie was the manager. And then Shez came in. It sort of happened from a fan perspective. It just happened over the summer. I think the season ticket sales are completely slumped due to, I think the style of football was mentioned by the owners at the time, and they just brought in Shez out of nowhere. I think there was a few people quite concerned about it. But how did it feel from the playing staff? Because obviously you were probably. I'm assuming you're one of the leadership team, be one of the older players in the nicest possible way. I'm not being rude there, but was it a case of you putting your arm around Shez and getting together and saying we need to be this core set of guys here to help Shez's transition from coaching to manager a better route sort of thing? Do you know what I mean? Did you sort of get together with the older lads and say we've got to try and help Shez?
I don't think Shez needed an arm around him, mate. I'll be honest, he never needed that.
I know. I'm trying to put it. Yeah,
I played with his brother. His brother was the same. No, it was a shock for all. I didn't expect it. I didn't know anything about it. No sniff of it whatsoever. Because you don't want you to play. You don't know the season tickets sales are down. You don't know what's going behind the scenes. You finish the season, and all you cared about when the season's finished, and this is true no matter what this is. Well, I'm off on holiday now. I've worked hard all season. I'm gone as well as we wanted. If I'm going away on holiday, I'll keep fit on holiday. I used to train particularly hard anyway during the close season, so that wasn't a problem for me. And then I just got a call one day, and Shez like, "Can you come and meet me in the car park up near my house at Rothwell?" Because he lived in Rothwell and I was in Leeds. I was like, "All right." And he said, "I'm taking over. I'm the manager." Because Burnley actually wanted to sign me. Burnley were interested in taking me that pre-season. They were very interested. Steve Cottrell was a manager, and I had a couple of friends that played for him. And they said, "Listen, I think Steve will try and sign you from Oldham." And I said, "Well, listen, what can I do about that? I'm under contract." They said, "If they want to sign me, they need to go to the club." So I think they actually spoke to Shez, and he knew about it. And he said, "Listen, you're not going to Burnley. You're staying here. We're going to do some things. I'm going to bring some young lads through the team. We've got some good players. We'll try and add to it as well, and we're going to have a go for it." He said, "I think we've got a real chance." I was like, "All right." Didn't really bother me that he turned down Burnley. Burnley were in the Championship because it's John Sheridan. Do you know what I mean? I watched him when I was a kid, so it was like, and he's turning around and telling me, it's like one of your childhood heroes you've watched turning around saying, "I think you're a really good player. I want to keep you." I was like, "All right then, I'm staying." And it was just that really. It just went from there, and we just had good pre-season. And Tommy was really good as well because he had Tommy Wright, and he was a brilliant coach, fantastic with the young players. People don't realise how good a coach he was at Oldham. Some of them players that he coached, Chris Taylor, Alessandra, Smalley, Neil Eardley, the younger lads, they're a lot to thankful for Tommy because he used to take them out in the afternoons. I watched some of the sessions because I was interested in it, and it's very good players. So it was just that really. I had no warning that Ronnie was going to get the sack at all. Didn't have a clue.
Right, well, this is Latics Football Phone-In, so we need to bring some guests that we've got lined up to ask you some questions. We do have a very special guest. He's a president of Oasis, which is the Oldham Athletic supporters in the South. He's a self-appointed president, and he's not really an official character. He's just a man with a beard. Hello, Will. How are you, mate?
Hello, Matt. Hi, Dave. Hello, Andy.
Hi. You going to say hello to Andy?
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Will.
Hello.
Yeah. Fire away, Will. Ask a question to Andy Liddle.
All right, Andy. I don't want to burst your balloon. I loved you playing for us, and you were much better when you played for Wigan against us. I think a couple of times. I think you got a couple of goals against us, and I thought you were an incredible player. There, way too good to be playing against us, and way too good to be playing for us when you came. But I've got to ask you about your penalty technique because I thought it was the first time I'd ever seen it. When you run up to take a penalty and you pause, you see it all the time now, but it was very new then. So first of all, where'd you get it from?
That's a very simple question. Well, thanks for the compliments, Will, by the way. I took it from John Aldridge.
Oh, he did that, did he?
Yeah, I watched John Aldridge. As a kid, I used to be religious. Well, obviously, I think pretty much every professional footballer that makes it, well, I say everyone, I'd say 99% as kids, you're obsessed with football, you watch football, you do anything you can to watch football and play football. And I watched it, I just remember seeing him do it. And he ran up, the goalkeeper moved, and he just put it the other side. So I used to take them at Wigan, and I saw that, and I wouldn't do it every time. I would try and, because I think if you did it every time, then they know you're going to do it. The goalkeeper's going to do it because they watch you. Even I say back then, it's the goalkeepers do their homework. They'll say, "Look, Andy Liddle runs up, takes his penalty, stops, waits for you to move, and then puts it the other side." So on the reverse side, I'm thinking, well, if I do it every time, they're going to do it. So I'd do it maybe 3 or 4 times in a row, and then I wouldn't do it, and I would run up, and I'd always try and put it to the goalkeeper's left. If I wasn't stopping, I'd try and put it to the goalkeeper's left. If I was stopping, I just wait till they moved, and it worked without fail. They moved every time. Oh. First of all, they're very stupid. First of all, they're very stupid because the goalkeepers anyway. Because who wants to play in goal? My God, who wants to do that? They're stupid. So
famously, the maddest person on any football team is the keeper.
Who wants to go out and dive at people's feet and get kicked in the face? It don't make any sense at all. But it was one of them. So it actually was John Aldridge. I stole it. I saw him do it, and I thought, well, if you can perfect it, because I practiced it. I practiced it every Friday religiously on up at the training ground. I'd practice it with I'd take penalties against Les, probably call me on a Friday, or Norm, Mark Crossley on a Friday. I would take between 5 and 10 penalties, and I would practice it. I'd do the stop and I'd do the non-stop, and then luckily for me, they never saved it.
Wow! So it never happened. Never came about that you stopped and they didn't move. Did they always moved? Never. Did they?
Yeah.
Just as well. Otherwise, that would have been a bit awkward, wouldn't
it? Well, I'd probably still be stood there now.
Awkward.
Andy, I have to say, like I had an argument once with somebody on a train, and I was saying like it's uncanny the way that you basically put it away from one step, and this other guy was saying it's cheating. And I've since come round to his. I've since come round a little bit to his point of view. I think it is cheating. I think you should have one movement and run up and take it. And did a referee ever speak to you about the laws of the game or anything like that?
Never. And like I said to my son when he don't do his homework, it's not the cheating that's the problem. It's when you get caught.
Well, under law, you've just got a continual movement. Even if you slow down, you're still moving. It's when if you stop and then start under law, that's when they'll pull you up on it and give an indirect free kick to the defending team.
Okay, but there's the laws of the game, and there's surely honour has to come into it. Is it dishonourable?
Oh my God! Are you talking about honour in football?
You've been living in London.
Let me ask you this question, then, Will. Let me ask you this question, then, Will. You're watching Oldham Athletic at the minute. I don't know whether the next game is, and it's
this
a big
Saturday,
game.
United away.
Right. So you last minute penalty, and he runs up, and you're not supposed to do it, and he runs up, stopped, and he puts it in the corner. Do you want the referee to blow the whistle to disallow it and do the honourable thing? Or do you want to celebrate and see you later to Sutton and take the 3 points off him?
It's a tough one.
Have a day off, Will. Have a day. Get rid of him.
No, it's not one at all.
I'll take the 3 points. I'll take the 3 points every day.
IFAB, read Law 14, determine the outcomes of a match, penalty kick, and you'll be great, honestly. So don't worry about it.
I tell you what, though, Andy. I mean, I have an absolutely terrible.
Is it possible to happy days? We'll take the 3 points, but then afterwards go, not sure about the honourability of this.
You can do that at home when you're talking to your wife. They're not interested.
I don't think anybody cares.
Well,
I think I have a really bad memory, Andy, for football matches. Never remember. I can't remember them. Like who scored. No, we have a quiz on our regular podcast called Latics Mind, and I never get hardly any questions right. He gets a lot right because he's a nerd and he remembers it all, but I don't. But speaking of last minute penalties, one that I do remember very, very clearly was your last minute penalty in the opening game of the season against Millwall, the game that finished 4-3.
It wasn't last minute.
Was it not last minute? No. Was it late? It was late on though.
Chris Taylor scored the fourth goal.
Yeah, it was late.
Andy scored the third goal in the 83rd minute. Third goal.
Third goal, was it? Well, like I said, I don't remember the details. I remember it was a late penalty, and I remember turning around to someone and saying, I think it must have been our kid or whatever, so next to me said, he's never missed one for us, And he was like, what are you saying that for? It's like, it's all right, he's got to score. He's never missed one for us. It's fine. And sure enough, he did score. But I actually got to meet. I was chatting to David Ford randomly. Ended up on a trip to India with him years ago, but he remembered that penalty really well. I remember that game really well. It was a really exciting game. That it was.
It was. Yeah,
quality. It must be brilliant to have the opportunity to step up like that late in the game. Great atmosphere in that game, and it must just be a great feeling just to be able to stick it out.
It was
like
obviously.
Yeah, I remember that game. It was.
Did you ever? It was. Yeah. Did you ever feel like, you say you practice. Was there any ones where the knees were knocking a bit and you thought, oh my God, yeah, I'm going to score? Or did you just feel confident all the time and knew you were going to score?
I only ever felt nervous once, only taking one. And it wasn't for Oldham or Barnes, it was for Wigan. We were playing West Bromwich Albion away and it was a big game. We were near the top of the league. They were near the top of the league. It was never a penalty. and the players and the fans who were getting like, it was just, and it was a horrible atmosphere at West Brom. West Brom's the only, by the way, here's a good question for you. West Brom's the only ground that's at a higher altitude than Oldham. There's one for you.
Yeah.
So it was cold, and it took ages to take this penalty, and that's the only time I thought a bit, I need to score this one. I did, but the rest of them, it's just, I used to love it. I used to love it. I'm getting something. I'm getting a free shot from 12 yards to either help my team get something out of a game, even if it's late on, even penalty shootouts or like a last minute one. That was a particularly good game, the Millwall game. I used to love it because I think this is going in the net. No way saving this, and I'm getting the team back on track or whatever it is, something like that. But no, I remember that game. It was a really good. Was it first game of the season? That I think it was.
It was a really weird game.
That was it. Because Norm chucked one in after about 10 seconds, didn't he? They scored after about 10 or 15 seconds.
And there was really weird one where it hit the bar and he headed it.
Hit the bar. Went up. Norm had a nightmare. Shez absolutely nailed him after the game. I remember it was hilarious in the change room. Because we'd won, it was all right. But Shez nailed him. He was like, "What are you doing?" I don't know. You'll have to swear on this. I bet.
Yeah, do it.
What
are you doing? 9 o'clock.
What are you doing? Shez used to call everybody a crisp packet. What are you doing, you fucking crisp packet? He's supposed to be a fucking goalkeeper, top goalkeeper, fucking doing this, doing that. He's looking around. All these lot got you out of goalkeepers. I can't fucking stand goalkeeper. It was proper losing it. We won 4-3. It was hilarious. Luckily, it was all right because we won. But yeah, I remember that game. It was a really exciting game. It was a really good game, and it was the first game of the season, and kind of set the tone because we did. That was a playoff season, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It was because we had a really good season. It kind of set the tone.
Yeah, because we had Lee Hughes was in. Lee Hughes won the penalty, didn't he? Paul Robinson got sent off, I think, from memory. And obviously Lee Hughes coming in, but what was that like? Because it was like it came out of nowhere, didn't it? I just remember someone we signed Lee Hughes. I was like, he's in prison. He's like, no, he's coming. What? How did it go down at your end?
Listen, when you first of all, like for whatever he'd done and whatever he hadn't done and whatever mistakes he'd made in his life or whatever, he'd been to prison. He'd been let out of prison. It wasn't like he'd escaped. So he'd done whatever he was supposed to do. Now, obviously, the people that were involved in the accident or involved in the incident, they're going to have a lot of different emotions towards everybody else, towards Lee, of course. But Oldham took a massive, probably gamble in signing him. And he was a really, really nice lad, And his finishing was off the chart. It was unbelievable. And he did fantastic for Oldham. He scored a lot of goals for Oldham. But he could be a loose cannon, and he could be. You put it this way: you'd want to stay away from him on a night out. Put it that way. You wouldn't be going too close to him on a night out because he was a loose cannon. So you'd swerve that one. But as a lad, he was sound, and he was really good at his job. His job was scoring goals, and he was pretty good at it. And it was easy for me because I'd cross balls or I'd play balls, and he's going to be there. He's going to score. But it was a big thing at the time. I remember it. I remember once. I don't know if you were there, you guys. I remember once we played Millwall away and he scored hat-trick. Oh my God, the atmosphere! That was one of the most poisonous games.
One of my favourite ever games. That it was raining coins. It was raining.
That was poisonous. Coins. That was. I've never ever been involved in a game where the referee has asked the manager of a team to take a player off the pitch for the safety of the other players. That's what the referee did that day.
Yeah.
Well,
I remember they had one of those canopies that comes out for the
pulled it out when the match was on.
It nearly came to the centre spot. They pulled it all the way out to get Lee Hughes off the pitch.
7:30 we left from there. Whatever the game finishes at what time? 5 o'clock. 7:30 the bus left there.
Wow!
It was
would that game
atmosphere.
Would that game have been before that game that we played, the 4-3 game that we just mentioned?
No,
because I remember. Was that after? That was after, right? Okay, because I remember being the Rochdale Road end when those Millwall fans when they were in the small section, we were in the big section, and they were just bloody horrible. as a set of supporters, but obviously they've got a bit of a reputation. But that must be great. It must be greatly satisfying though to piss off such a load of people like that as a team, going down to their players when you know that they're they've got that reputation, giving them a good hiding, and then having to sit in the crowd
when you go in, especially when we go to the big, especially League One. There were some big clubs in that league, especially that season we were in the. Got to the playoffs, you're going to Leeds and belting them. You're beating teams like that, Millwall, and teams that would perceive themselves as bigger clubs than Oldham. And we're going down there because we've got a good team and we've got lads that can handle themselves on the pitch because they've played for some at a higher level as well. They know that it's not a problem for them. They're not getting intimidated by crowds or players. And they had a good mix that year. That year was a very good team. You had some kids coming through, Chris Taylor, people like that, Neil Erdley, who played behind me, Neil, and you've got experienced lads, Simon Charlton, Griggs, myself, Warney, Paul Warne. You got Chris Porter, who was a young lad as well, and they were coming through. And I think it was a really good mix, and they had a really good team that year. I'm not up to that far close up to date on Oldham's recent history, but that must have been the last time they were in the playoffs, if any.
It was.
Or won it 2006 or something?
Yeah.
7?
Yeah.
It was. We had a good cup run. We went to Wolves away, didn't we? And drew 2-2. You played in that game, and that was
I played in that game. Yeah,
that was a. I think did you set up the good ball for Chris Hall to score in the last minute? He was
a character as well. That one, I remember him. He turned into an actor or a singer or something, didn't he? Or a rapper or something.
All of the above, Andy. All of the above.
Yeah.
That was
that
was a weird one.
Well, it's just bizarre that how many good players we did have. Like we had Mark Allett, Richie Wellens, Richard Butcher. Dean Smalley was
in those days. Like when you were playing for us, Andy, we had, in the next year or the next 2 years, we had an 11 who was scoring man of the match in the championship the season after, but we weren't there. The Oldham Athletic were not there.
There was some. There were, like I said, they had some championship players in that team. Like you said, some of the names you reeled off, they'd played most of their careers in the championship. And if you get them together with some, like you say, some good younger players, and then you had some players like Richard Butcher was, bless him, he was typical. He was a very good player, and players like him at that age were coming around, and you had the kids coming through as well, like Taylor. And Chris Taylor was a really good player. Flipping him and Neil were really good players. They were really good players, and you could see that. And when they all got mixed into the team, and then we had, like you said, the experience, and it was a really good season. I really enjoyed that season. I'd still like to see. The referee go back and correct his error after giving me offside in the semi-final when I was quite clearly offside. And Shez gave me absence. By the way, nobody knows that as well. You don't know that part of the story. So I've scored. I knew I was onside. I knew it was onside. You just get a feeling when you're on the field. You know you're onside. I knew it. So I've run away. And offside, I'm going, what the? So I'm going mad anyway. Shez took me off and put somebody else on. And he turns around to me and said, you should never have been fucking offside for that goal. I went, what? He said, and I didn't fall out with Shez very often. Well, hardly ever. He said, you what? He said, you should never have been offside for that fucking goal. Looking on now, I fucking wasn't offside. I'm telling you, I wasn't offside. Wait till you watch it back after that. He said, no, you were offside. I said, we're arguing while the game's going on. I said, I wasn't offside. Anyway, he saw the game the day after, and he phoned me up. He said, oh, I'm really sorry, Lynn. And I said, it was the only time he ever said sorry to me.
Oh, it's not much consolation for us, though, is it? Unfortunately, that happened. But that's the thing. I was at both those games, the Blackpool games. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember that. I don't remember stuff.
Well, I was at the first one, and I saw. I just thought, what's his name, Keegan Parker and Morel.
Yeah, the little fella. It was a little fella. The little fella ran ring round me and Neil. Me and Neil couldn't handle him that day. Wes Houlihan. He ran the game. Yes. And he ran rings around me and Neil. He played really well, and we just couldn't get near him. And it was close, but it should have been what they were the better team on that. But we didn't lose it by many. I think was it 2-1? Was it 3-1?
I forget. It was 2. I think it was 2-1 at Boundary Park, and then
3-1 we scored
1-0. So it would have been 3-1.
I think we've had this on Latics Mind as a question. But anyway, we didn't win.
They were the better team. They were the better team.
Yeah, and it was the last time we were in the playoffs, Andy. unfortunately. So it's we've been waiting a long time. We've been relegated twice since then. And Will, as the president of Oasis, you will be representing us at Sutton United, the mighty Sutton United on Saturday.
Don't let us down, Will, again.
Yeah.
You will be there. But
cheers, Will. Thanks very much.
Thanks for getting in touch, mate.
It's our. Well, for the Londoners, it's the most London game, I think. Well, certainly for the South Londoners.
Make of that statement what you will.
Thanks, Will.
Cheers, Will.
Bye bye.
We're gonna bring in another call. Cheers, mate.
All right, kids. Thanks, Andy. Ta-da.
See ya.
Before we bring in another call, I want to ask Andy about a game that he played in, and it's one of the most memorable ones as a Latics fan. It was only a 1-1 draw, but it was Scunthorpe away. I think they were top and we were second. Gregan scored an goal, and then they had like 2 players sent off because it started. Chris Taylor started running rings around him. I don't know what happened to Taylor, because when Chris Taylor came on the scene, he was just running rings around him, and they were fouling him. I think Shez took him off, and then he brought someone. I think he brought on Erds to shore it up at the back, because I think he played 3 at the back that day. And then we scored in like the 98th minute of injury time. Gary McDonald last minute.
Oh yeah.
And it was. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were about that game, because it was very feisty, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was, because at the time they were all right. They were all right, by the way, Dave. They had Billy Sharp, they had Keogh up front. They were a decent team, and it was kind of, we were up the top with them most of the time, and we always used to have tough games. And I think we might have done a 3-2 or a 4-2. They beat us 4-2 maybe the year before that, or I can't remember. I scored 2, Billy scored 2, same game. It was a 4-2 or something. But anyway, I remember it because they just started whacking the crap out of Tails. Just started taking him out left, right, and centre. And it was 9 men, and I distinctly remember the ball goes in the box right at the end, and I can't remember, and somebody just absolutely wiped the goalkeeper out, and the referee went play on, and Gary Mack stuck it in the net, and it was just carnage. It was like 98th minute or something, and it went off in the tunnel after as well. It went off big time in the tunnel after with the players, because they had plenty of players that were giving a bit of that as well, and we were giving it a bit. And Griggs was throwing people about in the tunnel because it was going off a bit, because, like you said, it's tight. The tunnel's tight, and when you get in there and you just wear that high that we've just nicked a point, and they've got 9 men, and it went off.
Yeah. The adrenaline of the last minute goal.
What was he like to train with Griggs? Did he because obviously I've heard stories that he liked a few beers, but was he like? For the younger lads, was he like the ever professional and demanded everything out of that? Because he was Ches's captain, wasn't he? Pretty much on the pitch.
Yeah, he trained proper. He was having some problems off the field. I think he was going through a divorce, and that one. I travelled in with Griggs from Leeds. He used to live in Leeds because obviously he came from Leeds United, and I was living in Leeds at the time, and we used to travel in together. And I got quite pally with him and chatting with him. He was having a tough time. Listen, he was having a divorce, and whatever walk of life you're in, that's not easy. And he's got kids as well. And he did like to drink, but at the right times he'd go out. And I said, but he trained as you'd seen him. Something came near him and it needed kicking. It got kicked, and he didn't make no bones about it. And he trained properly. We had. I think with Ches would probably agree if you asked him. We had some good professionals. We had some. We didn't take the piss in training. We trained proper. Like myself and Griggs and Richie and the senior players that trained, we trained proper, and it was good training. It was good with Shez, and like I said, Tommy worked the kids hard. He worked them hard. He worked a lot on the technique and what they needed to be professional, because it's not easy. People think it is. Everybody sits and thinks, but it's not. And you've got to put a lot of work in. And no, it was good. I liked Griggs. I got a lot of time for him. Did really well. And then when I left, obviously he was still there, but it looked like he was leaving. And then they took him back, and he got played a year, didn't he?
Yeah, you did.
So it kind of says a lot about his
character
there.
We're going to bring another caller and just going to chuck a quick advert in for some of our sexy merch.
It's hot new merch. Sexy merch. It's hot new merch. It's sexy, sexy, sexy merch.
Visit weareoldham.co.uk/shop now to see our brand new range of hot, sexy merch.
It's hot new merch. Sexy merch. It's hot new merch. It's sexy, sexy, sexy merch.
But you didn't know Dave could sing, did you? What a voice!
Oh goodness me! Yeah,
If I didn't know before, Matt, I definitely know he can't sing now.
Thanks, pal. But I was going to give you a free cup then, but you can get stuff.
We'll have to make some Andy Liddle mugs, won't we?
Yeah, we'll have to do some Andy Liddle mugs. Yeah.
Anyway, let's. We've not spoke to our mate Bin Man for a while. Don't worry, he's called Bin Man. That's his name, so you can call him Bin Man. Bin Man.
How you doing, lads?
All right. How are you?
Yeah, you good? You good, Andy?
All right, Bin Man. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Are you good, Dave?
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, pal.
But you've got some fond memories of Andy Liddle, haven't you, Bin Man?
I certainly have, and I was just about just going to start with that. My biggest memory when we battered Forest on New Year's Day, 2 penalties, Andy. Absolutely tore and won, didn't we?
Yeah, that's probably one of the best performances we had that season. I think they got away with 5. That could have been about 10 that day.
Absolutely. Biggest, I'll tell you honestly, that day was just unbelievable, and that was my favourite memory because you weren't missing penalties, were you? So you just knew soon the ref gave the penalty, it was a foregone conclusion. But when you was at Wigan, I absolutely hated you. Just thought I'd let you know. But when you came to Latics, I thought, you know what, we've got a right player here. And I really didn't know you turned down Stoke to come here, which I guess they was in the Championship at the time. When you started.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So to drop her, it was that's good. That's good for you. That
has he redeemed himself even more in your eyes now, Bin Man?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I used to mainly every week I used to have him on a bet for to score because you got a penalty, that your bet's in. But so would you say that's your favourite game then, Andy? Forest?
Yeah, I'd be hard pushed to think of another one that wasn't as good as that. It was just obviously because Forest they had a big. And that one and the one at Leeds at Ellen Road, when we beat them 2-0, I think Tails might have scored 2. We definitely scored 1.
Yeah,
he scored 2. And we won that and that one because obviously that was my team as a kid. And then I'm running around on that pitch, and you just take a second to yourself. You look around, you think, Jesus Christ, this is unbelievable. I've stood on the terraces here all my childhood, and then we're belting them 2-0. But yeah, that was they were both. I'd say they were both equal, those two, the Leeds one and the Forest one. They were both pretty special.
Well, that was in the playoff season with Forest one, but I generally thought we were going to do it because if you remember, Andy, we started off pretty shit, didn't we? I think we didn't hardly win it. I think was it one winning like 7 or 6, something like that. We started off pretty slow, and then as soon as middle of September came, it was avalanche, weren't it?
I think we were missing a lot of chances. I think we just. Because Ports, I think that was Ports' first season, and he took a bit of time. He was a young lad, Chris Port, and he just took a bit of time to get going. But once he got going, you couldn't stop him. Hence, he got about 20 odd goals, and he did really well. But it was just a bit tricky to start with. But we were playing all right. We weren't playing that bad. But listen, people don't want to hear that. They want you to win. So, and in the end, we kicked on a bit and got a lot better anyway.
Well, we did, but when we got to the end of the playoffs, I think we played we could have done with playing Blackpool in the final that we got there because we played Blackpool at the wrong time. They've been on a massive run, haven't they? Got in the playoffs, and I think they lost. If my memory serves me, I think they lost one game in from February onwards, and it was the team not to play. And unfortunately, we got them in the playoffs because we'd have probably beaten the other two. Or whoever the other two, I can't remember, but we'd have probably gone on to go and beat them and probably play Blackpool in the final where you have half a chance, but. It was just unfortunate that we had to play them. I was really gutted at the end of the season. I really upset. I really thought we were going to do it, but I was in camp after that, though. After that defeat,
that was hard to take. That one, that was hard to take. I've had a few goals at the playoffs and lost in them all. I think it's about 7. So they're not really kind to me in the playoffs. So if your team ever gets to the playoffs, you don't want me round the stadium or anywhere near the pitch.
But we'll do playoffs this season anyway. We're hoping we go to Champions League, hopefully. But you've only I looked at your career today as well, Andy, because in your honours, you've only ever won the league once, didn't you? Is that all I think Wigan, weren't it? You won the league. And we won
the league with we won League One with Wigan. Was at 100 points, something like that, and I got promoted to the Premier League with Barnsley. We came second in what is the Championship now. We came second. We didn't win that league, but we came second and got to the Premier League, obviously, for a season. won the league with Wigan. Yeah, so they're my 2 medals. Yeah, listen, I'm happy with 2. I'll take 2. Some people play years and years and years and win bugger all. They take nothing. I got to play Wembley. I got to go to Wembley twice. It's amazing.
I think you won the league against us on the Bank Holiday Monday. I think. Didn't you won the league against us?
I think we might have. I don't think I played that. I think I was injured, but I don't think I played. But I think we might have done. Yeah, because you had. I think Shez was still playing, John. But Daz was definitely playing. I think.
Yeah, he was. We got in the playoffs that season, and we ended up losing that. But
it was our first away defeat. It was our first away defeat that season as well, wasn't it? When Andrew scored in about 10 seconds, didn't he?
I remember it. Yeah.
Early. Yeah.
Yeah, we scored.
I'll tell you what, you got some memory, you been, man.
Oh! I do remember it, Andy, and I think we got beat before that. I think we were Bristol City, but I could be wrong. But
it's 0-0.
Yeah, I do remember that day. I was gutted at Wigan when they won the league against us. But what's your plan now, Andy? What's going to go now? What's going to go on now? Are you coming back to Latics or what? Get someone involved?
I don't know. Listen, I've got no work at the minute. I've just come back from. I've been out working in Rapid Bucharest in Romania with Neil Lennon. Was a manager. I went out there as the fitness coach, and I was doing some coaching, and they decided to sack us after 6 games. So I'm back in Altrincham now. I'm back in sunny Altrincham, just waiting for the next opportunity. Really, fitness coaching or whatever I can get in. Really, it's not easy once you get out. It's not easy to get back in. So I'm just waiting for my next opportunity, really, and hopefully something will come up there. But whatever it is, at whatever level, I've actually been watching some conference games because my local team's obviously Altrincham, and it's literally 5 minutes around the corner. And I watched their last couple of games, and they're all right. They're not bad. They're not bad at all. And I watched them play Solihull in the cup the other night. There, it wasn't great. They drew, and I watched them against another team. They were all right. It's not bad at all. But Oldham shouldn't be in the conference. Flipping that club shouldn't be in the conference.
No, it shouldn't. Yeah,
we've really struggled at that. We've really struggled against them, haven't we, been, man, since against Altrincham since we've come down.
Yeah, I just find them a bit difficult to. I know we beat them in the cup last year, didn't we? In the FA Cup, but in the league, we just always found it hard to beat them. But listen, they've got. Sorry to interrupt, Matt. They've got stability. They've had the same manager for 8 years, 7-8 years. They've got players they've got a lot of players that are mid-20s. Listen, their budget's not small, but it's not big. But they've got stability. You keep sacking managers and changing this and changing that. It don't work. Yeah, it don't work. And people keep doing it, and it don't work.
Yeah.
No, it don't.
Yeah, we've been guilty of it, haven't we, Bin Man? But we've got your man now, Bin Man. Bin Man was a big advocate for getting Mickey Mellon in, weren't you, mate? And here he is.
You mean 5 promotions, Mellon, Dave?
I didn't say anything. It was Matt who said it.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You got your man. Like you're happy, aren't you? You've got your man. And you need to stick with him. Like you said, Andy. We've been crying out for stability at this club for 20 odd year now.
Yeah, but
it's a shame. It is a shame. It's a shame from the club that I obviously played for and saw and left. Obviously, I'd watch from afar and see it go down and down, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, what is going on there?" And it just, when you get people involved that don't understand what they're doing or what the business requires or what you need to have a successful team, it's not the only club it's happened to. It's just a shame when it's happened to your club. It's a shame. It's a shame.
I think it is hardly. Do you know what? I will be honest. So I can't remember who told me, guys, but before we got down here, someone said to me it's the hardest league to get out of, and do you know what? They're probably right, because only one gets auto, and then next, you got a lottery of the playoffs. It's so hard to get out. I really think the league needs to start looking at it and think it's going to be 3 up, 3 down. Because I'm telling you now, lads, if we could go into the future, this team and this management and what we've got, we won't look out of place in League 2.
They're the same league.
Well,
they're the same league. It's a professional league. Yeah. It's a professional league. It is. Every single team in that league is full time apart from one.
Yeah. So I think it's about time it's 3 up, 3 down.
A 5th football league.
So I remember thinking Wrexham were big on that, weren't they? Wrexham were fighting for that to get 3 up, 3 down, and it's all gone quiet now. So
yeah, they don't care anymore, mate.
No, they don't. They're up. Well, exactly. You probably wouldn't say that if it was sat in League 2 struggling, where you'd want 3 up, 3 down, because you know that you're near the trap door. But now we're down here, you think we're desperate to change that, and I think it could get changed going forward, lads. And I hope so, but I hope we're not in it too long to see that. So
I hope we win the league this year. Just to avoid Andy getting any temptations to come back if we get in the playoffs and jinxing it. So do us all a favour, Andy. Just if we do anywhere in the playoffs, just stay away.
If you get Altrincham in the playoffs, I'll stay in the house, don't worry.
I'll tell you something, Andy. Do you know what? When you was at Latics, you know what? Do you know the team when you was in it? Do you know that my biggest grafter on that pitch, yourself included, you was, but the biggest workhorse in that team who got unsung praise were Paul Warren. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, but Warren, you say very. He worked his nuts off up front. He got a few goals as well. He had some quality, but it got laid back because he left everything on the field. I'm still keeping contact with him now. I'm still good pals with him now, and he's doing a brilliant job at Derby. He's done a brilliant job in his management career. He's a really nice fella. Yeah. He's a really nice fella, and he was gutted when he left. He was absolutely gutted when he left because he wanted to stay.
He said he cried, didn't he? I think he cried.
I was gutted.
He was devastated. And then he came back to York and came back and scored 2, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, but everybody always does that, don't they? Go back to the old club and just score. That's it.
So I don't, Binman, you might be able to help me here, but Andy, you certainly will. So, because like I said, I don't remember very much, but I've got this memory because I asked my mum and dad, they're just as bad as me. They've been season ticket holders for the last 60 years. I said, "What's your favourite Andy Liddle goal?" And they couldn't remember either. So it runs in the family. But there was a Brighton away in 2008 or 9. Did you score a last-minute goal in the baking hot sunshine when it was at the what was it called? Withdean, with the running track. You scored a late goal there, didn't you?
I don't know how late it was. You're probably right. It was late, but I remember it was a screamer. Yeah, I belted it.
Yeah, screamer. You scored a screamer, didn't you? Late goal. I remember that.
That was a good one. But the best goal I scored for Oldham was one of the hardest I ever hit a ball on a football pitch. To be honest, it was one of the sweetest shots I've ever hit. It probably was the hardest I've ever hit a football, and it was a free kick at Swindon away.
Yeah, remember that.
Was that the second game for Latics, that weren't it? Was that your second game for Latics?
That's probably the hardest I've ever hit a football on a football pitch.
Yeah. It's a great feeling, isn't it, when you hit it right, when you're the sweet spot. I'm sure it is once it is the back of the net and the crowd cheers. It must be a great feeling.
The best feeling was when it smashed into the top corner and closely followed by the keeper trying to dive for it as it went past his face at about 90 miles an hour. That was a nice feeling as well. But no, that was the best one. As soon as it left my foot.
We just had a message from Hayden Schofield. He's got a few match-worn shirts of yours, and he says if you want them back, you're more than welcome. So we can pass on his details.
I look a bit stupid in them now. I don't need them now. You'll be all right.
All right. No worries. I think that's the first time I've ever seen a Yorkshireman turn down a freebie. Anyway.
Yeah, well, so there you go.
Cheers, Bin Man. Thanks for your call,
mate. Lads. Cheers, lads.
All the best.
Cheers,
enjoy something on Saturday, mate.
See you, mate.
Right. I've got some. Should we do the?
Oh, sorry, have you just done that?
Should we do the advert for the Christmas show, and then we'll do some quick fire questions for you, Andy? We've got some quick fire.
If you thought the singing was bad on the last advert, Andy, you might want to put your fingers in your ears now. Dave is sexy, the Atleticos sing. Oh, in his past there's a new beginning. Scenes of banter, dreams of snow. You'll look dumb if you do not go to Christmas time. Tickets are online. Games and singing, hot pie and wine, with beer on demand and prizes to win. You'll need a ticket or you won't get in.
Christmas time.
You've got the voice of an angel there.
Oh,
so we're having a Quizmas party. It's a Quizmas party. So it's a quiz and a party. £200 cash prize.
Yeah, for the winner of the quiz. So
which has been donated by Mr. Andrew Liddle from Leeds.
No.
Oh no, that's something else. That's something else.
I'm happy to. If you want, I'm happy to donate with another not on the end if the person singing promises never to sing again.
We can't promise. We can't promise that. It's just too much fun.
No.
But you're more than welcome to
butchering
you're more than welcome
songs.
to come together and get Shez down.
Yeah,
get Tommy right.
It'll be a good laugh. It's not all Latics. It's not all Latics related questions. Anyway, Dave, you've got your quick fire questions. Are you ready for your quick fire questions?
You've got to answer them as quick as you can. Right. Redfern or Sheridan?
Which Sheridan?
John. The Lord that is John.
John.
Wigan or Oldham?
For what?
The best. Which
you just got to pick whichever one you prefer.
Which you prefer?
Pass.
Boundary Park or Springfield Park?
Oh, Boundary Park.
FA Cup or League Cup?
FA Cup.
Tuchel or Pep Guardiola?
Pep Guardiola.
To score a last-minute penalty or a 20-yard free kick?
Save. Both the same.
No, you don't want to prefer? Not what you prefer the most? No,
they're both the same. Listen, I like scoring goals, but I take one off the backside after a yard out. Both counts as the same.
Last one. Best finisher, Lee Hughes or Chris Porter?
Lee Hughes.
That's it. Well, there you go. That's there's your quick fire questions. But I can't believe you backed out on the Oldham Wigan one, especially when you're
not worth the abuse, mate.
I'm only kidding, mate. I'm only kidding. So
I guess if you won the league title at a club like that, it's always going to have a very special place in your heart, isn't it?
It is. But I had a great time there. But listen, people get a bit carried away. Oh, I won this and I won that. I did for 19 years. I got paid to play football, and sometimes I just sit there and think that's something to do with your life. 19 years to get paid to play football. So whether you win, lose, or draw, there's a lot more lower times than there is bigger times, obviously. But to do that with your life, 19 years to pay to play football.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah,
I think the one thing that's come out of today is that Thomas Tuchel's become also the England manager. What are your thoughts on having the English manager being for a foreign nation?
Listen, it's the best man for the job. What I will say is this: the FA and St George's Park and all these people that run these coaching licenses, because I've done them, they're a lot of money. £5,000, £10,000 to pass your licenses, and they're always pushing these coaching licenses and English coaches, and then they put a German coach in charge. Nothing against him. Don't really say a lot about English coaching system, does it? To be quite honest, even if whatever nationality it was, he's not English. So, what are we saying then? Are we saying that our English coaches are not capable, or we haven't got the best English coach to coach the English team? So that's not exactly advertising those coaches to go out into the rest of the world, is it? That's more in my opinion, and probably counts for nothing. Yeah. But what we're saying, it's the English national team. Shouldn't they have the best English coach?
Well, the thing as well is
English
that
coaches aren't getting the best jobs.
The pro license is £13,000 to learn in England. In Spain,
that's
France,
a job.
It's £2,000.
A fraction.
Yeah,
Portugal's the same. Portugal's the same.
Still trying to pay off Wembley, though, aren't they? Probably things like that.
Well, they've got to pay for that, and they've got to pay for St George's Park, because the person that how do you want to say, not invented, but orchestrated and designed St George's Park, so David Sheepshanks. He was the chairperson at Ipswich, and I worked there, and I was doing a license when he was there, and he told me how much it cost. Wow, no wonder they're charging all that on the licenses. That's my thing. And by the way, you think the other way around? Would the Germans put an English coach in charge? Think about that.
No.
Well, I mean, we just don't have English coaches getting to the top of the game, do they, in this country? Because we have so many like foreign coaches, and that's they're not getting the opportunity, are they? And I think what it is now is that they've done such a good job in bringing through so many young players at England now that they've got a wealth of talent, and Southgate arguably did a good job in that. They have. Now they want somebody.
They have, Matt. But sorry to interrupt. They have, but England have brought them players through. England have coached them players. Them players have been coached at the clubs. They've come through themselves. England. I've worked in international setup with Mick McCarthy in the Republic of Ireland. You get the players for 10 days. You're not coaching them in 10 days. You're not doing that. They're coming up through the system. So the system's brought them up. The coach haven't brought them up. The international coach. You need to get a bit. People need to understand that they haven't. So you can be the best coach in the world, but you can be the best coach in the world, and you can have bad players. You're not going to be able to make them miracle. That just doesn't happen. But that's what the thing that not winds me up, but me and people like me and all these guys that have spent money on coaching licenses and promoting the FA's coaching badges and promoting the FA way. All right, but the FA just put a German fella in charge, or they put a whatever national in charge. They didn't put an English fella in charge. What's that say? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, they talk about the England DNA, don't they, as well? And I've been on a few, because I do coaching, and I've done a few CPD events, and it, to be quite honest, it bores you to tears, doesn't it? And if you played that in a competitive football, at any level, you'd absolutely wallet, wouldn't you?
But I get it, because my lad plays football, and I go watch my lad play football, and there's a way to coach kids, and there's a way to coach pros. And unfortunately, if you are a coach at a professional team and you don't win, you lose your job. So you ain't got time to bring these players through and coach them through, unless you're guaranteed to, okay, this is your contract and this is your staying, and you come out and you say it. But you lose 6 games. Managers and coaches got 6-game window. Got a 6-game window. If you lose 6 games in a row, wherever you are, you're probably going to lose your job. So that's going to make you go towards not spending too much time with coaching them. So they come through the youth team and they come through the system, and they do it like that. All this DNA stuff and all that stuff. Honestly, people make football so hard, and it just isn't. It's not hard. If you've got a decent manager who's a decent bloke, you've got some decent players that are decent people, like any other business. If you've got decent characters in your business is probably going to run quite well. So if you've got decent football players and decent people in the same building, all going the same way, guess what? They might win a few games. It's not. But people do it, and there's a business in it now. There's a big business in it now about all the analytics and all this. And I get it, but people are protecting their jobs. It's not difficult. It's not. They make a big deal out of it. It's not. It obviously helps if you've got a lot of money. Hence, the clubs that are owned by a state, Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, guess what? They win everything. Oh, what a surprise. They've got the most money.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And like what you said before about like Barnsley going to the Premier League, like Latics when we got promoted to the First Division, it's and you said about the amount of things that you won over your career. It's really, really hard, and it's a combination of a lot of things coming together at the right time that makes these things happen. Unless you've got billions, which is ridiculous amount of money to spend. If you're just doing it like it should be, it should just be a natural ebb and flow where some teams will do well and then they won't, and that's the way it should go. There's no one's got a divine right to dominate any type of football. So it's frustrating, and it takes the sort of the joy out of it as well, because when it comes together,
it's frustrating for the fans as well. It's frustrating for the fans, and it's if you go through all the leagues, it's a boring, it might be a boring topic, but it interests me. If you go through all the leagues and go through where the budget is and where they finish, normally in a normal season, you get the odd anomaly, yes, you do, but normally the top 6 teams are the top 6 budgets, top 6 or 7 budgets, and you might get one breaking through every now and then. You might get a Leicester winning the league, you might get a Barnsley getting to the Premier League, you might get something like that. Normally, the big budgets, they do it because they can afford to buy better players. You go to the supermarket, you've got more money, you can go to the nicer bit and buy nice food, tastes better. It's not rocket science, but people make it that way, and that's the thing that rolled over the life.
In your opinion, then, do you think that it's just, football is a very simple game? It's a case of attacking the net and scoring a goal. Is that? Do you think just keeping it simple, keeping it basic, and just obviously that's
what makes Pep Guardiola the best coach? He's got the best players. It's very simple.
I've said that. I'd like to see some of these managers that are like, at the top of the game, like when it was Mourinho and he was winning everything. We always say, well, why don't you, bring him in, give him the Swansea job and see how he gets on. Do you know what I mean? And like, he's just not going to be this. And you see it then when they go from these top clubs and they start to go in and they don't do the same business, do they? Because they don't have the same.
It's not the same. The players are not as good. And guess what? Yeah. They'd start losing games and they'd say, "Oh, he's not a good coach anymore." Well, he's the same coach as he was when he had better players. He's the same. He's doing the same things. The players are just not as good. You step down the pyramid, the players are not as good. You step down the car making business or whatever it is, and your top Ferraris and whatever, and you come down to the low ones, they're not as good. Guess why? Because the ones at the top, they got the most money.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple.
Right then.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously something you're very passionate about, and we are as well. I think the further down the football pyramid you slip as well, it gets harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
You know, and like looking at Latics now, I mean, obviously as fans, you can be very critical sometimes of the players and stuff. But you're looking at where you're at. You're in Division 5. You've got Division 5 players. It's not the same type of quality of top end of League One or the Championship or wherever we were at. And consistency tends to be the biggest issue at this level. But you know, hopefully once we're out of this division, we're back in the EFL. We'll start to make a climb, because I think that you talk about the DNA. Our DNA has been corrupted for a long time, but the club's in a much better position now, and I think that we've got better days ahead, and hopefully we'll be back where we belong, which is at least towards top end of League One.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, it is a shame. I remember the years I had there, the 4 years I had there. I loved it all. It was brilliant. It was a brilliant club to play for, and it is a real shame when that happens. And like you said, it's as winning becomes a habit, losing can become a habit as well. And especially if people get involved that don't really have the club's best interest at heart, or they don't really know what they're doing. It's a bad combination. And that's what happens. It's happened to Oldham. It's happened to other clubs that have been Championship clubs. One of my old teammates, a lad from Oldham, Kevin Mayer, he's the manager of Southend. Southend were a Championship team. They've slipped all the way down because they haven't been run very well. You can keep going through. And it's not easy. It's not easy to get back. And like I said, it's not easy. You're in the 5th league, and it's a hard league to get out of.
Yeah, we are finding out the hard way. Finding out the hard way, but yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well, Andy, again, I can't thank you enough for being so responsive and coming back to me straight away. You know, trying to book guests is really difficult at times, but it's been a breath of fresh air communicating with you and dealing with you. You've been you've been so accommodating, and I just want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. It's been a real pleasure, and it's been great listening to you. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me. It was a shame I had to listen to the singing, but apart from that, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, you know, so you've got to get a balance, haven't you? You can't get everything.
You've got to take the rough with the smooth.
Exactly.
It's like winning a few games and then losing one.
No, but it's been great. You're a gentleman, and we do appreciate it. Thanks very much for sharing your stories. And
I'm sure that all the fans watching would love to see you back at Boundary Park watching a game. And if we do,
not in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, it'd be good to see you, mate. And thanks very much, and best of luck settling back into the UK and with your next job, wherever that may be. All the best, pal.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. We'll try and get to a game. I'm trying to get round and about and watch some football, so I'll try and get to a game definitely. And it was like I said, thanks for inviting me on. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. So
thanks
much,
a lot, Andy.
Thank you. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
What a lovely fella.
Really, really good.
Great bloke, yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen them giving it the Leeds players in the tunnel after that game, and the Scud, to be in that tunnel.
I mean, when we've had like Lee Duxbury, and obviously we spoke to Shez, that kind of era of players. It was almost like it feels like that kind of era up to around maybe 2010.
Yeah,
that was probably the last kind of era of
last peak, wasn't it?
Of that generation, I suppose. Of player.
If anyone watching wants to hear from an old club legend, just drop us a message on the at OAFC phone in Twitter handle, and I will do my best to get them on the show. I really will. So yeah.
Hey Dave, did you know that listeners can now buy us a coffee or any other kind of hot beverage? What's your favourite hot beverage, Dave?
A macchiato.
And how do you like your macchiato?
Black with lots of milk. Oh.
No cream?
No.
Well, if you want to buy Dave a
macchiato,
then go to buymeacoffee.com/weareoldham. I'll just have a Nescafe.
Oh. Thank you, listeners.
Oh, well, at least Andy didn't have to put up with that one as well. Right, the time's flown by, hasn't it? It's time for your Horlicks, Dave.
Ooh, a macchiato.
Decaf at this time, mate.
Yeah.
Right, we'll see you for the podcast on Monday.
Yeah.
Hopefully. You won't be around, will you?
No, I've been banned by Bradley Knowles for the next podcast because he misheard what I said and decided to
say this for next week's football. You won't be around next week, will you? Because you'll be on holiday.
I'm airing in.
You may ring it. Depends on how many you've had on the all-inclusive bar.
Yeah, and it's going to be plenty.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us this evening, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
The Latics Football Phone-In is a QPod production for We Are Oldham, dedicated fan media. If you'd like to know more about QPod, visit kupod.co.uk.